Welcome to America Reads Fun Learning Activities. We are college students who create learning activities for kids. Our fun activities are focused on reading, writing, and math. Thank you so much for joining us to learn today. Today's topic is points of view. Now there are 3 basic points of view. First person perspective. A type of storytelling in which the main character or supporting character tells the story with the pronouns I, us, and we. Second person perspective. A type of storytelling in which the point of view is the person/people being addressed. It uses the pronouns you, your, and yourself. Third person perspective. The author is telling the story about the characters using the pronouns they, them, theirs, his, hers, and the characters' names. Now, there are 2 kinds of third person perspectives: third person limited and third person omniscient. In third person limited, the author does not know the thoughts or feelings of the characters. In third person omniscient, the author knows all the characters' feelings, a select few characters' feelings, or just one character's feelings. An author will develop a point of view in a story by describing the characters' inner thoughts, their feelings, where their attentions lie, their actions, words, and observations. Points of view help move the story along by exposing the main character's thoughts, feelings, and actions. They show how the main character will react to other characters, how the characters react to the main character, and then how the main character reacts to the other characters' reactions. Now that we know some background knowledge, let's apply it to a text. The passages we will be reading come from a short story called 11 by Sandra Cisneros. This story is about a young girl who is having a hard day at school and thinking a lot about her age. Let's read these passages and answer some questions together so we can really understand the concept we are working on. What they don't understand about birthdays, and what they never tell you, is that when you're 11, you're also 10, and 9, and 8, and 7, and 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today. And you don't feel 11 at all. You feel like you're still 10. And you are, underneath the years that makes you 11. Like some days, you might say something stupid, and that's the part of you that's still 10. Or maybe some days, you might need to sit on your mama's lap because you're scared, and that's the part of you that's 5. And maybe one day, when you're all grown up, maybe you will need to cry like if you were 3. And that's okay. That's what I tell Mama when she's sad and she needs to cry. Maybe she's feeling 3. Now let's answer some questions. The first question is, what perspective is the story written in? Well, it starts off written in second person and then it moves to first person perspective. The second question is, how do we know that? We know because the passage starts off using the pronouns you, and then the main character starts talking and thinking using the pronouns I. The third question is, how is her perspective developed? It is developed through her thoughts and her actions. The whole time we are reading, we are in the main character's head. We hear her thoughts and we see other people's actions the way she sees them. Everything she experiences, we experience. We know exactly how she feels and thinks. The author has made sure her actions and thoughts are very evident, so we pay attention to her as the main character. The fourth question is, what did we learn from this passage? Well, we learn how the main character feels about her age. And because it starts in second person perspective, we also know how we feel about age and growing older. Only today, I wish I didn't have only 11 years rattling inside me like pennies in a tin Band-Aid box. Today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I'd have known what to say when Mrs. Price put the red sweater on my desk. I would have known how to tell her it wasn't mine, instead of just sitting there with that look on my face and nothing coming out of my mouth. "Whose is this?" Mrs. Price says, and she holds the red sweater up in the air for all the class to see. "Whose? It's been sitting in the coat room for a month." Sylvia Saldivar says, "I think it belongs to Rachel." An ugly sweater like that, all raggedy and old, but Mrs. Price believes her. Mrs. Price takes the sweater and puts it right on my desk, but when I open my mouth, nothing comes out. You're not mine, I finally say in a little voice that was maybe me when I was 4. Of course it's yours, Mrs. Price says. I remember you wearing it once. Because she's older and the teacher, she's right and I'm not. Now let's answer some more questions. The 5th question is, did the point of view change? No, it has not changed since it switched from second to first person perspective. It is still in first person perspective. The 6th question is, has the main character's feelings changed? Well, we see that she wishes to be older rather than younger, so she would know how to respond to this situation. She does not want to be younger and cry. She wants to be older and knowledgeable. So yes, they did change. The 7th question is, how has the main character contributed to these new events? She contributed to them by not knowing how to respond to the situation. She could not stand up for herself and make her position known. In my head, I'm thinking, how long till lunchtime? How long till I can take the red sweater and throw it over the schoolyard fence, or even leave it hanging on a parking meter, or bunch it up into a little red ball and toss it in the alley? Except when math period ends, Mrs. Price says loud, and in front of everybody, "Now, Rachel, that's enough," because she sees I've shoved the red sweater to the tippy-tip corner of my desk and it's hanging all over the edge like a waterfall. But I don't care. "Rachel," Mrs. Price says. She says it like she's getting mad. "You put that sweater on right now and no more nonsense." "But it's not now," Mrs. Price says. I put one arm through one sleeve of the sweater that smells like cottage cheese, and then the other arm through the other, and stand there with my arms apart like if the sweater hurts me. And it does, all itchy and full of germs that aren't even mine. That's when everything I've been holding in since this morning, since when Mrs. Price put that sweater on my desk, finally lets go, and all of a sudden I'm crying in front of everybody. The worst part is, right before the bell rings for lunch, Phyllis Lopez says that she remembers the sweater is hers. I take it off right away and give it to her. Only Miss Price pretends like everything's okay. Now let's answer even more questions. The 8th question is, have the main character's feelings changed? The answer is yes. The 9th question is, how have they changed? Well, the main character has grown even more upset because she was made to put the red sweater on. The 10th question is, how do we know her feelings have changed? We know they've changed because she's even more upset and more embarrassed than before, and she begins to cry. And we know those things because we are still reading in first-person perspective. The 11th question is, how has the main character contributed to these new events? Well, she made them happen. She pushed the sweater to the edge of her desk, causing her teacher to tell her to put it on, causing her to cry. The 12th and last question is, how did the perspective help move the story along? By knowing the main character's perspective, knowing her thoughts, her actions, and her feelings, we know how she reacted and how other characters reacted to her. Her actions, not wanting a sweater on her desk and pushing it away, led to her teacher's actions. Telling her that was enough and telling her to put the sweater on led to her own actions, which was her crying. Her actions, thoughts, and feelings made up a bulk of the story and helped push the story along. Now that we've answered these questions together and you have the basics of this topic, you're able to work on it on your own, and I know you will do amazingly. Thank you so much for learning with us today. Please come back and learn more anytime. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And I'll be back soon with more videos.